Other than music and something that was educational for the kids that's growing up, and they know, you know, they follow us with our music. We want to follow,
supporting that.
Reading
and besides, I'm a big book reader myself, and I'm always a supporter of literature. I think that's the thing that, you know, is the never-ending source of, you know, knowledge itself, and just being able to grow and evolve and learn more. And last but not least, it always is something that I use to my advantage when it comes to lyrics and being an MC, because, you know, you get to learn how to apply wordplay, metaphors, and punchlines, and, you know, just information that you probably wouldn't get.
It wasn't long ago he stood at a crossroads in his own life. He was convicted of check cashing fraud and sent to this prison in New Jersey.
I decided, I think when they slammed the gate, that I decided what I was going to stand for in life and what I wasn't going to fall for.
That jail door closed and a new world opened up. DeWitt put pen to paper and began writing about those things he was most familiar with. The gritty, deceptive underworld of the city streets.
It's called Rolling Off, and it really speaks to the realities of our legal system, and I think this is a book you should read, especially if you're in and out. You know, all my life, you know, my brother, one of my brothers doing life, one of my partners fighting a life charge. One of my brothers just come home from doing 20 years, and that was one of my inspiration on this book, on, you know, trying to help them get in and out, find the right legal system.
I mean, you know, we want to make it to where, you know, we read a lot, and they have a lot of great authors don't give a chance to come out and do books and put them.
Hi, I'm Tony Hawk. The defining moment of my life happened unexpectedly. When I was a kid, my brother gave me a skateboard. I didn't know how to use it, what it would lead to, or how it would change me, but it did. Who knew that gift from my brother would change my world? We all have the power to change someone's world by giving them something unexpected. And I'm not just talking about skateboards. Books can do that too. Imagine giving someone the gift of discovering themselves. Imagine giving someone a way to learn about new worlds, new people, and new ideas. Reading has the power to transform us, to shape who we are, and what we read becomes a part of us. We can be explorers, adventurers, even groundbreakers. So give someone a book.
Hi, I'm E.J. Manuel, and being a champion on the football field as a quarterback for a winning team at Florida State University has been a highlight of my football career. I'm here to tell you that you too can be a champion by reading. By reading to a child just 15 minutes every day, you increase their probability of literacy and life success. Join me during Celebrate Literacy Week.
Hi, I'm Kiki Palmer, star of True Jackson VP. I know what you're thinking, that you're so busy with school, your friends, your family, sports, music lessons, all that stuff that fills up your days, that you don't have a second to spare. I feel you. From my television show, to my music, to my own schoolwork and friends, it can be really hard to find a spare minute to just be. But I'll let you in on a true story. Books help me relax. There are so many distractions out there that sometimes the only thing that lets me slow down and take a moment for myself is to find a good book and let it take over. Whether it's a script, lyrics, or just my favorite books, reading is a big part of my life, and I couldn't live without it. Make it a part of yours, every day.
Is it possible to achieve a high level of success?
You know, success in general. And then, as you know, to prove that it all worked, I took $1 and in 180 days I turned it into $1 million.
You see, these were questions I was asking myself at 23 years old when I set off on a 2-year challenge to retire my family and become financially free. Now, at first I had doubts, but it wasn't until I stumbled across a book called Psycho-Cybernetics that I started to believe that yes, it was in fact possible. When I was reading through the book, I stumbled across this exercise and it changed everything. In the exercise, it suggests that you find people who exhibit the qualities of character and personality that you desire, but also the level
you're going to see who they were growing up, their cognition process, their work ethic, and also who their mentors are. Through that, we're going to connect the dots and try and figure out what makes them tick, but also more importantly, what makes them successful. To begin, we'll look at the first person I chose, Farrah Gray.
My next guest achieved financial success at an unbelievably young age, making his first million, that's right, his first million by the age of 14. Farrah Gray created and sold his own food company based on maple syrup, is a business mogul, motivational speaker, and just wrote a book on how to become a realionaire. Please welcome Farrah Gray.
Thank you for having me.
Great for having you, sir. Now, I have to read this because people are not going to believe it. I'm going to embarrass you for a minute. Just very quickly, age 6, you sold body lotion door to door for $1.50. Age 7, you carried a business card that read 21st Century CEO. Age 8, formed the Urban Neighborhood Economic Enterprise Club. Age 9, co-hosted a radio show Backstage Live in Las Vegas, reached 12 million listeners. Age 12, lucrative career doing speaking engagements, earning him $5,000 to $10,000 appearance. Age 13, started Far Out Foods, which you sold at age 14 for $1 million. Age 16, acquired Inner City Magazine from Inner City Broadcasting. Age 17, financed a comedy show on Las Vegas Strip. 19, became a contributing author. 20, elected as the youngest member to sit in the board of directors, National Association of Real Estate Brokers. The great thing about my job is I get to interview newsmakers and celebrities and politicians and athletes. And you're about the most impressive guy I've met, so continued success.
Thank you.
I really mean that. Farrah Gray, a guy to watch and invest in.
When I started the challenge, I was looking for teen millionaires, young millionaires, and he was actually the first person that popped up, and still, to this day, the most impressive. And I mean, how could you not want to know how does someone become a millionaire by the age of 14? It's insane. It doesn't happen. So, obviously, I wanted to find out who was the man behind this title. So, let's take a look at his childhood.
Before the break, we met John Bryant, who grew up on the rough streets of Compton, California, and turned challenge into triumph, becoming a millionaire by making real estate deals. But what if this is the only real estate you know? These are the Robert Taylor homes, a place most kids can only imagine getting out of by rapping, balling, bling, or dying. Not Farrah Gray. Farrah Gray was a millionaire by the time he was 14. What clicked in your head as a child that says, I want to create something that I can make money with?
Being broke. Poverty will do it to you. When I say poor, most people think, okay, well, you at least had furniture, you at least had a car. No, we slept on the floor with the rats and with the roaches.
As soon as I made my first million, I retired my mom and my grandmother. And I started buying real estate. I started buying actual gold.
September 6th, 1996. Tupac Shakur is the most successful hip-hop artist in the world.
He's no different than the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley. Tupac was a king of rap.
To his legions of fans, he is the ultimate gangster rapper.
Thug life, that's my comment.
He is the angry voice of urban America.
Yes, I am going to say that I'm a thug. That's because I came from the gutter.
People in the hood call him Black Jesus. They was like he was sitting here to save us.
I chose Tupac for a couple of reasons. Growing up, I had an older brother who was 7 years older than me, and he would always listen to Tupac, so I began listening to Tupac way younger than I should have been. But I always liked his music, and as I grew up and started learning who he was as an individual, I became even more fascinated by him. But the main reason I chose Tupac was because he used art as a platform to create change, and he used that spotlight to shed light on some really, really bad things that were happening to the young black male and young black female. And I think artists today are lacking that. They're producing art to make money, but they're not using it in the right way. And in my own project, in my future projects, I want to use art to shed light on things and help create change like Tupac did. So, let's take a look at who Tupac was as a kid and how that influenced who he was as a man and his success.
The 1960s were a time of turmoil and liberation. Americans were confronted with the power of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. One group to rise from this atmosphere was the Black Panthers. The group believed that the only way to achieve black liberation was to form a black militia armed with enough firepower to fight the oppressive white government. Afeni Shakur, Tupac's mother, was in the forefront of the Black Panther movement.
My mother was a Black Panther, and she was really involved in the movement, you know, just black people bettering themselves and things like that.
He was a soldier from here. You seen it was the upbringing. You seen Pac, he had the fire in his eye.
You can't exempt this guy from his environment. His mother was a Panther Party operative. She was socially conscious. She guided her boy in the right direction.
Eventually led to the party's demise.
All the party members had a hard time right after the party was dissolved of getting into the workforce, and especially somebody like Afeni. You know, she ended up homeless on the streets of New York, of Boston. You know, she had a hard time. She ended up on drugs.
We moved out of New York because because of my mother's choices. They figured out who she was, and she couldn't keep a job. That should be illegal.
When I was young, I was quiet, withdrawn. I read a lot. I wrote poetry. I kept a diary. I watched TV all the time. I stayed in front of a television. And I could see all these people out there in this pretend world. And I knew I could be part of it if I pretended to. The way Arnold used to look when he used to come out on Different Strokes. I used to like the lifestyle, the way he used to live. So early on, I just watched and emulated. And I thought maybe if I can be an actor and I could act like those characters, I could have some of their joy.
Oh, thank you, Mr. D.
If I could act like I had a big family, I wouldn't feel as lonely.
This is the stairwell in the jungles. We used to sit right here in the hallways, busting raps. This is what I was talking about. Now, when you poor, right, and you broke, right, you sitting up here, you looking at all them rich people over there. That's Tiburon. That's the most expensive place in California to live. You right there around rich people all the time. That's like teasing you in your face if you starve.
He told me what was going on at his house, and within a couple months I realized that his mother was so addicted that his house was too dysfunctional to have a career, to keep going to school. So within a couple months he ended up coming to stay at my house.
That's all I ever wanted to do. Ask my mama. I wanted to go to college. I went to school all the way and was ready to go to college. The only thing that stopped me was money. The time all the kids in my school was writing applications to go to college, I didn't have no lights and no electricity. And that ain't my mama's fault. You know what I'm saying? So when I think back to that, I'm not thugging for me. I'm thugging for my family. I pay all the bills. You know what I'm saying? I feed my whole family. Wrong or right, I do. And I can't stop. You know what I'm saying? And if thugging is going to make me $1 million because it just got me platinum, then that's what I got to do constantly.
An actor, an entrepreneur, and a rapper. 3 different people, 3 different careers, and they all have a very similar upbringing. Now, I'm not saying that that's a requirement for success. However, the fact that they've all come from that, and I have as well, was very inspiring because it showed me that it's possible, and that's all I needed. So once I understood that, I wanted to know how they got started. What was their first step? Tupac is an example of someone who had a lot of mentors throughout his life, but the really important thing for him was that he was able to take certain characteristics from each one, and it created and shaped this 3-dimensional character and person who had strong opinions on a wide array of subjects, and that was why he was so powerful and so interesting at a young age.
Have you ever seen, what would a Vietnam vet be like without a sergeant, without any backup, without any other soldiers, nobody but a Vietnam vet in Vietnam? When he came home, how would he be? And that's me. I had to go through all that street, war, everything, the same drugs that everybody else get turned out on. You know, where I would have been stopped short, I made it past. And here's where I am. But because I made it past, I missed some lessons. You know what I'm saying? And you can see the lessons that I missed when you talk to me. You can see where I haven't had a father when you talk to me. You know what I'm saying? You can see where I spent a lot of my time in the streets when you talk to me. Because the words that I say are not words that come from a mother's mouth or a father's mouth. It's words that comes from a pimp's mouth or a prostitute or a hustler or a drug dealer. You know what I'm saying? But to me, these were my
That same day, and we did our little workshop here that night. And then from that night on, he was part of our group. He thought I was like the perfect package to get him where he needed to go.
But the majority of people that he called his mentors were authors of books that he had never met. And that was profound to me because I didn't have access to a lot of mentors, and I thought, wow, what am I going to do? And that gave me a strong sense of confidence in the fact that I should take reading books very, very seriously. And after that, I thought, do all successful people read a lot of books? Let's take a look at the other two to see.
Our relationship was really a relationship that we searched for knowledge, we explored together. And I'll just tell you a book right now, it's been around for a long time. It's called Ponder on This. The stuff we were exploring together, food for thought, alignment, the ancient mysteries, astrology, the Buddha, challenge, Christ, the impact of color, our state of consciousness, medicine, the moon, the occult teachings, Rajneesh, telepathy, the Kabbalah, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. He read Roots a number of times. Taylor Chardin, The Phenomenon of Man. And as you study Tupac's lyrics, you start to know and understand how much he incorporated his reading, even his last albums. So Pac would read a book like this, it's a pretty big book, and he would attack people's definitions. So what is cultural literacy, and who defines it? And is this white perspective, or is this multicultural perspective?
To conclude, just going over the 5 major aspects of character that we showed: upbringing, cognition, how they got started, work ethic, mentorship, and the bonus was knowledge. It's very eye-opening to see that people in completely different fields can share the same systems of success. Most of the things they did were within their control, and most of the changes that I needed to make to get to that level of success seemed to be within my control. And once I saw what they had to do to get to where they are, everything changed. Now, I'm not saying that this is the recipe for success or that this will give you guaranteed success. However, 95% of these things illustrated in this video are completely within your or my control. With the flip of a switch overnight, we can completely change. We can be bold, get started right away, have a tireless work ethic, speak in absolutes, be absolutely confident in what we set out to do, find mentors, read books. These things can completely change our lives, and it did mine after I watched this. So I'm going to leave you with a montage video of other successful young people, and I hope it inspires you to find people that you look up to and study them. Figure out what makes them tick and allow it to change your life too.
Find someone who has a life that you want and figure out how they got it. Read books, pick your role models wisely, find out what they did.
Snap back to reality. But I was in reality.
I've never really viewed myself as particularly talented. Where I excel is ridiculous, sickening work ethic. While the other guy's sleeping, I'm working. While the other guy's eating, I'm working.
One summer, his dad tore down a brick wall on the front of his business and told 12-year-old Will and his 9-year-old brother to rebuild it, a job they said was impossible. It took them 1.5 years, but they did it.
And he said, now don't you ever tell me it's something that you can't do.
You don't try to build a wall. You don't set out to build a wall. You don't say, I'm going to build the biggest, baddest, greatest wall that's ever been built. You don't start there. You say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. And you do that every single day, and soon you have a wall.
Don't ever mistake, preparation for productivity. Make product right now. Like, go shoot a monologue in that corner with this camera type of thing.
Never make me no underdog, and never talk about who's gonna stop me. Well, ain't nobody gonna stop me. Not a heavyweight in the world fast enough to stop me.
I think everybody knows it's possible to be successful. I mean, we got TV. We know it's possible to be lawyers, doctors, artists, musicians, whatever. But just because we know it's possible doesn't mean it's real. It's not real until you see it happen. Imagine you had everything you wanted everything. Imagine you were everything you ever wanted to be and capture that feeling. That's the easiest way to manifest what you want. Fuck letting life pass you by. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey of making all your dreams and goals reality. Because the journey makes you who you are.
He was a 1980s drug lord who became a multi-millionaire urban legend in Los Angeles. A rap star even stole his name and parlayed it into a music career. But the real Freeway Ricky Ross ended up spending 20 years in prison. Chris Blatchford talked with him this week when he was finally released.
It all started here in the 80s. A loose network of gangsters selling his crack cocaine, relishing in the bling and bucks. A small drug empire run by Freeway Ricky Ross with roots in L.A., spreading to Louisiana, Ohio, and Texas. By his own admission, Freeway Rick, on a good day, pulled in $2 or $3 million.
Yeah, the money was good back in those days.
Cops formed a special Freeway Rick task force. Here in Carson, they found $1.5 million worth of crack cocaine. In Hawthorne, $1 million worth. In Watts, detectives witnessed 20 customers within 90 minutes, like a crack cocaine fast food franchise. But for years, they couldn't catch Rick.
It was crazy. To say the least, it was crazy.
The Freeway Motor Inn was just one of many properties he owned, until he was caught and served 20 years in prison. His views on that are surprising.
Oh, prison was wonderful for me, because I transformed it from prison.
He couldn't read or write, but while serving most of his time here in a Texas correctional facility, he started reading books, 200 of them.
And it really opened my eyes up to a whole nother world.
When he was finally released this week, Freeway Rick felt ready to enter that other world.
Super, man. I'm ready to go. I'm amped. I feel sky's the limits,
Rick insists he was never a gangster, just a hustler, a streetwise entrepreneur. And already, he has a deal with Sacred Cow Productions for a reality show.
Join us on A Year with Freeway Ricky Ross.
He's been featured on BET and has written his autobiography. He's pitching a movie on his life and a record label of his own. His image commands the cover on several magazines. He has a blog, a social networking site, and is even trying to Twitter his way back into big business.
I'm going to do it again. Yeah. But legally this time, without the drugs. Yeah.
In his heyday, Ross was known for insulating himself behind a wall of drug-dealing lieutenants, making him hard to catch. But now he doesn't recommend that career path.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're going to wind up broke, in jail, or dead. Those are your options.
He says his drug past was a bunch of wasted time. Now he only looks forward, making this promise on his yet-to-be-released reality show.
I'm going out to redeem myself.
In South Los Angeles, Chris Blatchford, Fox 11 News.